I don't get all this eyeball stuff. What are they supposed to represent? Eyeballs?
It's Pomo. Postmodern. Yeah, all right. Weird for the sake of weird.
Oh.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Hello, greetings, and welcome. Welcome to the Stereo 999 YouTube channel. I am your host, the artist formerly known as Stereo Steve. You might remember me from, who cares? Anyway, Motoric 247 gave us another vinyl tag. This is the experimental music vinyl tag. And it's basically 8 questions. Some of these questions I have more than one record to talk about. Some of these records answer more than one question. But I got them stacked up in kind of the order I want to talk about them on the table. And I got some notes with the questions. So let's just get into Motoric 247's experimental vinyl tag. Okay, and the first thing is a record with improvisation, and I'm going to show this. This is called the Ghost Opera. It was recorded in 1970. According to this, they started out in Chicago and moved to San Francisco. It's basically a collective of improvising musicians. There's clarinet, bassoon, trumpet, trombone, violin, viola, cello, marimba, harp, guitar, piano, voice. And it's got 2 sides. There's the even side and the odd side. It says here, please keep it out of the marketplace. Pass it on to a friend and keep music free. So I guess they gave this record away, and I think nowadays you're probably going to have to pay some kind of money for it. The second question, which could have gone in a lot of different directions. Something with Moog synthesizer. Before I get into my Moog synthesizer record, a couple of honorable mentions. This is electronic music by the Electrosonics. It's actually the Dutch duo Tom Dissevelt and Kid Baltan. This is an honorable mention because it's not actual Moog synthesizers. It's ring modulators and oscillators and things like that. This is one of the greatest records ever. This is Zero Time by Tonto's Expanding Headband. And it doesn't count as a Moog because Tonto was these guys' own synthesizer that they designed. They went on to work with the likes of Stevie Wonder and Devo. And anyway, this is just a wonderful electronic music, early 70s kind of record. And let me quote from somebody I played this for who didn't like it, because what they said I took as a compliment. They said, "This music makes me feel like I'm being cryogenically frozen." Alright, so for the actual Moog synthesizer record, I am going to show Lucifer Black Mass, which is Mort Garson, who gave us the Plantasia Music for Plants record, and Electronic Hair Pieces, which is songs from the musical Hair, and Cosmic Sounds of the Zodiac, but this is another one of his Moog records, Lucifer Black Mass, on the Uni label. Moog synthesizers. Okay, next, field recordings. Field recordings. Well, I found one that's kind of odd here. This is called The Farm. And they don't really give you much. They tell you on the label. One side is just the sound effects, and the other side is with narration. But it's field recordings made on a farm, and it's from 1966. And I like this whole, it just looks like a very homegrown indie kind of pressing. It has like a sticker on this plain white cover, and that's my field recording record. This is going to be the bridge from this question to another question. While we're on the subject of field recordings, I have to mention the Environments series. There are 11 of these original albums on Environments, of the Environments series. The first couple are easy to find because they were on Atlantic, but then the rest of them the guy pressed on his own label. But these were really a breakthrough in sound effects records, because most sound effects records had just little minute-long clips of each sound. But these records, each side was a half-hour-long soundscape of each sound. You know, and on the early ones there was ocean sounds and crickets. But some of them are pretty dark. This one, this track Summer Cornfield, just the buzzing sounds of the insects. It's just eerie. And the other side is a drone piece called Intonation. And this is, which volume is this? And this is volume 7. This is volume 7 of the Environments. And again, that brings us into our next question. Our next question, a record with drone sounds. And again, I was kind of stuck between a few I wanted to talk about. Of course, the heavy drone rock of Sun, or Sun O. But it's actually Sun, kind of replicating the logo of Sun amplifiers. This record's called Oracle, and it's pretty much what you'd expect from Sun. This band, I don't know if this counts or not, they're called Heavy Winged, and it's a very, very noisy improvised rock. This particular album is called Waking Shaking, and it's a little more drony, where some of their other records are just chaotic and noisy. So yeah, Heavy Winged. And the third drone record I want to talk about, getting back to synthesizers, Experimental Audio Research. Kind of a collective, usually Sonic Boom of Spacemen 3 fame, sometimes Kevin Shields and other, you know, shoegaze kind of supergroup, but making electronic droney music. Experimental Audio Research. Alright, a record with spoken word. Okay, well I'm just going to get back to basics here. Ken Nordine, word jazz. And for those of you who doubt the experimentality of this record, there is a track on here called The Sound Museum, where Nordine is giving us a tour of a museum that shows sound paintings, and there's different bits of tape loops and musique concrète that are the paintings, and describes them. So this counts. Ken Nordine, word jazz. And another one that I kind of didn't get the first time I listened to it, but then I just kind of came back to it, partly for this video. I thought it was all spoken word because I just kind of gave it a superficial track through, but it's also got songs. This is Stephen John Kalinch, A World of Peace Must Come. And this is on Light in the Attic, and it's a reissue of something that he originally put out on a cassette, I'm guessing in the 70s or 80s. You know, I should read these booklets before I just go blabbing about these records, but it's got some spoken word bits, kind of spiritual, new agey, calls for peace among mankind, but with some interesting mixing, some effects and stuff, and there's also some heartfelt, kind of folky songs. All right.
Oh no, you can't leave yet. You gotta have a nice cup of tea with me.
The next question, and this is another question that sent me in a lot of different directions. Processed instrument. If I want to get pedantic, I could say that everything we listen to is processed. You know, once it goes through a microphone and is converted to an electrical signal, it is processed because we're not right in front of it hearing it with our ears. So, you know, guitar through a pedal is processed, you know, reverb is processed. But the first thing that came to my mind was Discrete Music by Brian Eno, his first ambient record, and it is all about the process. And you know, the first side is this relaxing synthesizer piece that's going through his tape loops, looping and decaying, and it's very hypnotic and peaceful. And the second side, he took recordings of the Pachelbel canon and ran that very pleasant piece of music through his tape loops and made some really eerie, dissonant pieces out of them on the second side of this. So this is kind of an OG of processing. Another one that's definitely all about the processing is Endless Summer by Finesse. Especially the title track. You know, it's all these crazy sounds, the way it just builds up and gets distorted and takes you on this journey, and then by the end you realize it's just like two chords played on an acoustic guitar, and that was the basis of the piece he created by running it through so many different processes. Beautiful record. Question number 7 is album from a band on the Nurse with Wound list. And if you don't know what the Nurse with Wound list is, I'm going to show you a Nurse with Wound list. Now, this is Silo Tripitaka by Nurse with Wound, which is a box set of their first 3 albums, plus a bonus disc. Came out sometime in the 90s, and it's got the albums kind of replified. So this is the first Nurse with Wound album. Chance meeting on a dissecting table of a sewing machine and an umbrella. Okay, and inside Nurse with Wound's first album, there was this flyer. And this is the flyer, and it's essentially a list of of all the artists and bands. Not all. But basically it's a list of artists that Nurse with Wound was influenced by. For fans of experimental music, the Nurse with Wound list has become kind of a canon. And for this, I selected a Nexus Quam, a German, I guess you'd call them krautrock. This is their second album, which I'm not going to try to pronounce the title. But most of the reviews of this band, they will tell you that the first album is better because it's more rock, but this one is more jazz, more just straight up improvised, and maybe even a little more droney. So it is apropos to this video and those who would view it. Alright, the last one I thought was going to be easier. Last one was something with the toy instruments, and I probably have stuff with toy instruments that's not coming to mind, but this is the very first Sun City Girls album on Placebo, and the second song on the second side, called Rappin' Head, has acoustic guitar and toy piano playing off each other, which is a really good track. And so yeah, toy piano, toy instrument. Alright, that was my experimental music tag. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me some experimental music that you dig. Alright, thanks for watching. Peace.
And now, kiddies, it's time to realign your hi-fi set. We are now going to generate a tone for you. What is the tone, Harry? Oh, yeah. 1,000,000 cycles. What's the matter? Can't you hear anything? Turn your volume up a little bit. 1,000,000 cycles coming your way. Don't hear anything, huh? What's the matter with your set? Something's wrong with your set if you can't hear 1,000,000 cycles.
That's it, I'm getting out of here.